welcome, Drew, to
Thank you
our
very much.
Bike Chain AMA. Thanks for hosting it on your channel here.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you.
for
Thanks
those,
for being here in my
yeah,
channel.
of course. For those who don't know, yeah, we're from Corduroy Earth, a small Canadian startup. We do a lot of work with different projects in the space, helping them grow their reach, connect their communities, and stuff like that. So we've got Matt here, who's going to be moderating this event, asking some questions, and Drew and I are going to have sort of a fun conversation about BikeChain's journey so far and where things are headed. You ready
That's
to
right.
jump in, Drew?
Absolutely. Let's do this. I'm just
All
grabbing
right,
my
Matt,
so
water.
go ahead and
yeah,
introduce yourself
gotta
too,
stay
Matt.
hydrated. Yeah, everyone, I'm Matt with Corduroy Earth here. Super excited to be here. This will be the first AMA that I'm moderating, so let's hope I don't screw up too bad. But let's get right into it. I guess the best place to start is by reviewing the brief history of BikeChain, sort of understanding where it started, where the idea originated from.
Sure. That's a perfect place to start. My name's Drew. I am the founder of the BikeChain app. I am a human being at the end of the day, just like everybody else here. I am somebody that's very passionate about blockchain and crypto and decentralized applications and that future part of the world that's happening, that's coming to be. I'm really proud to be here with some amazing individuals that are Liam, Matt, Thomas, the whole Telos Foundation. I just want to say thanks for, like I said, having me here, being able to just be myself and be here with you guys. So BikeChain app, I feel like has always really needed to be, and now it is. This has been, I guess, years in the making, ever since 2017 when I first got into crypto and blockchain, and I've had all different types of investments in crypto, and I've also had my fair share of other types of ventures into it, and this is the latest, and this is where we find ourselves. And what we are trying to create is some sort of application at the end of the day where people can at least earn crypto from riding their bicycle. And where we're at right now, we're currently in our IDO phase. It's not looking too hopeful right now to be where we're at, but I never believe in giving up in anything, especially on something that has received a good amount of support. Just needs some fine tuning and some tweaking and some re-strategizing to get to, which I'm super confident in doing. I'm just happy I didn't give up when everything told me I should. I believe in Telos. I believe in BikeChain app at the end of the day, no matter what. And I plan to definitely come back bigger, better, and stronger in the best way, working with a lot of people.
Yeah, no, really well said. I think, you're maybe selling yourself short by saying things don't look too hopeful right now. Maybe the sale is not as, there's not as much involvement there as we expected, but the involvement in your project and the Telos community is huge, right? Like you came into the community when was that like end of not even it was like middle of December last
Yeah,
you know
much.
Everybody
Yeah,
knows about BikeChain now, and
that's
there's
good.
a lot of support for your project that I've seen around the communities, right? So it's really cool to see that and have the right attitude right now of just continuing to stick with it, improve, having events like this to get the community informed about what you're working on. So don't sell yourself short there, man.
Thanks so much, Liam. Yeah, I think you got a very good point. I think did make it to a good distance, and seeing like this level of support just really starting out. This is really just the beginning, is how I'm actually starting to look at everything.
Yeah.
Like why not do an even better job now with all the community feedback that I've had, that you know, some might think that I've been like a little reluctant to open up to, but I do listen. I do listen to a lot of people, and I think this has been a very awesome learning experience, and I've grown so much as a person, getting to where I'm at least right now. So yeah, I definitely plan to, again, to pivot, to come up with something perhaps a little more minimalistic, something that we could get like an MVP kind of going sooner than later, that might have like the basic rudiment behind, at least, you know, ride to earn, where again people can earn crypto by just being healthy and riding their own bike for now. So again, there's a lot of opportunity and stuff to look forward to. So I never look at anything. I don't look at this as a failure in my eyes, just a temporary setback, if anything, and then another opportunity, like I said, to come back bigger, better, stronger, and a lot. It's a great idea. It deserves to be executed in a much better fashion too. So, yeah.
Definitely. I want to go to Matt for a second, because I know you've got a list of questions. We're getting a little off topic.
Yeah.
But, what are your thoughts? And maybe, feel free to let us know your thoughts, and then maybe jump to the next question off the bat.
Well, I was going to say, think of all the companies that they had an idea, put it out there, it was a failure, but then they got the feedback and went, oh, this didn't do well, but this did. Like, didn't Amazon do that? Like, they were selling books at one point, right? And then they realized, wait a minute, people love having stuff sent to them. Maybe we should just change the product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You could have the next Amazon on your hands.
Potentially, you never know. That'd be really great. Everything is evolving, right? That's what makes us humans that have made it at least this far. We've been able to adapt. That's like some like real Darwinism. It's like business Darwinism, or like crypto blockchain Darwinism, where like if you don't adapt and you don't take that community feedback and work with it, then you're as good as just not doing anything. If you do the same thing over and over without, we all know what that means, right? When you do the same thing over and over without, yeah, pretty much.
Crypto Darwinism, I like that. We might have just coined a new word in this AMA.
Something like that.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on my next question, which was going to be talking about the sale, but you did mention something which I'd love to ask about more. Is you said the feedback from the community. What exactly have you heard from the community about the project? So
it's actually been some of the best like constructive criticism that I could ask for. People aren't BSing me when they want to ask what they want to know. And I guess perhaps I felt that I had to keep certain trade secrets or certain intellectual property to myself, when in fact I should have been a lot more open. And you know, this is crypto and blockchain too. It's sometimes you actually not sometimes it most of the time you really have to do the best job possible of explaining what you plan to do in the most simple layman terms. But yeah, I would say like they're great qualification questions. These are questions that come from a place of, ooh, you got my attention. I want to know more, versus like dismissive questions that are, you know, negative and toxic. That's not even close to what it's been. It's been like everything that's been supportive of the idea, that's been like, I want to know more. Can you do a potentially a better job of explaining it to me? You know?
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
No. Go ahead, Liam.
I was just going to say, like, that's something I sort of think is interesting in the startup and the entrepreneur space in general. That I sort of learned when I went through this accelerator course years ago for my business. They always talked about that concept of, as entrepreneurs, we have these ideas and we feel like, you know, they're our babies, and we almost don't want to talk about them too much because we don't want other people to take them and other people to do them. But an important thing for us to realize is that you could tell, you know, I think you can tell the world every little minute detail of how you're going to execute this plan and this strategy. No one's going to do it because nobody's you, right? And that's the bit I sort of recognize with you, is that you're so unique in the energy you bring to this, right? It's great that we can have these moments to dive in more of the thought process behind it and your vision for things, because that's where people see that, that irreplaceable asset of any project are the people behind it, right?
That's 100%. That was very well said. That was
awesome.
That made me feel special. No.
Yeah.
No, but it's the truth, right? So you've got a good attitude. I said that you were saying that you in your prep before we sort of had this event was that, some projects, they'll come in, they'll go through these processes, they might not get the response they want, and then they'll disappear, right?
Yeah.
We don't see that on Telos, right? We don't see the rug pulls, the cryptos, the scams, those kind of see. What we see are people with visions coming here and wanting to, build the future that they want. And that's something I see sort of in you by you coming to these events and doing these things. So props to you.
Thanks, Liam. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. Thanks, guys.
I'm sure as well, building on what Liam said, there are so many intricacies in this project that people just don't pay attention to or appreciate or even realize. So as easy it is for someone to say, oh, I can do this, or I can copy this and stuff. It's not going to be the same quality, man. It's not going to be the same quality.
Please do. I'd love to learn from you. I'd love to learn from them, because it's crazy to even get this far. Like I said, just with exactly all the moving parts in it, it's pretty much impossible to replicate like what we've just all gone through. Because again, like the time is now, and it's always something new. It's always something evolving. So that's exactly what we look forward to. Like just all that can be with BikeChain, with BikeChain.app.
So on that note, then, what kind of work are you going to do to regroup and build forward for the next sale?
Right. So right now is just like all about taking a step back, doing some like, I wouldn't even say interpersonal work, but maybe some of that too, just like regroup on what I think is the best future for BikeChain. I know I want to make it happen. As long as, like I said, I can get people riding their bikes, being healthy, and earning crypto in some form of that, which I have already. I have some really great ideas when it comes to a potential rebrand or just a new direction for BikeChain app, maybe minimalizing things and getting a more simpler product before like promising the world perhaps something that just works and I can show for. That would be like the next step. And I'm pretty confident in doing that. Like I said, I have like some really great ideas that have yet to be expressed, and I think can be expressed, if you will, in a much better way next time around, for sure.
Yeah, choosing a focus or one specific area and really working on that specific area of like a project, I think is huge and can really help grow things way bigger than you would kind of expect if you were kind of working on all the different moving pieces. Like for me, when I look at like in the white paper for BikeChain, like the overarching mission there and some of the stuff we had chatted about in some of our meetings was like, for BikeChain, your biggest mission there was really making transportation accessible, right, to people around the world. That's a huge mission. That's a really massive.
That is.
And I
Absolutely.
think you're headed in the right direction to do that. But it's great to look at those smaller missions along the way too. Of how do we just get people biking and getting them,
100%.
Incentivizing people to take that next step, to not take their car to get to work, to grab their bike and get on it because there's more of a gamification there. And on that also, like, how do we make cryptocurrencies accessible to people, right? Who, I think that was one of the coolest things about your project was like, great, it wasn't not just about, the biking side of things, it's also about increasing the access of cryptocurrency to these people. They don't, there's not as higher stakes there of like putting your credit card in something. It's just get on your bike. Now you've got some currency. Now, go do something with it. Right. So I think that's a cool thing to do.
Yeah. And I also believe that, based on a lot of community feedback, I definitely need to partner up with some really really smart people. As I mean, everything, nothing again can be done without a proper team behind it, without the proper infrastructure at all the right angles, something that really supports itself at the core. And I would definitely be open to looking into submitting this idea into the hackathon, or the Telos Ignite Spark program, or things of that nature. At this point, I really just want to see this idea come to life, and I want to see it come to life with Telos. So however that may need to be, I think I'm super open to working with others, and there's enough for all. There really is enough for all, especially in this amazing community, with the skills that people have in Telos in particular. I would definitely be open to all different recommendations and all different avenues for this.
Right on.
Fantastic.
Thanks. So I guess with that in mind, you mentioned, I think, a bit briefly that riding to earn coin and stuff is your new first goal.
Mm-hmm.
How do you plan on getting to that goal?
So this is actually, again, a lot simpler than the instead of sharing the bike to earn bike, instead this is riding the bike to earn bike, which is a lot simpler at its core. There have been some other projects that I've noticed that have been launched on other chains. And they were implemented great with some awesome EVM technology, some awesome Solidity code that just worked and made a lot of really great sense. It's just, again, they launched on the worst chains that they could have chosen, where I don't even know how they were able to build the application building on certain chains like that, but they did. And I took inspiration from that, and I said, you know what? This would actually be the perfect place to launch something, Telos, with the tech and the community. I think this newer concept that I think we have we're transitioning from transportation-fi more to the ride to earn concept, as that's actually a lot easier to digest for now, and like I said, get going, because there are other prior examples of great ABI that can be simply transferred over onto the Telos EVM, and then boom, it's what awesome product, awesome chain. This guy didn't disappear when stuff got hard. I think it could actually be a really great success, especially with the proper rebrand and the proper new focus in doing it like that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What was I going to say off that? No, I think it's really cool to, when you take that approach and you say, okay, we're pivoting, we said it's a little bit right, people will see that you're still putting that extra effort in there, that you're still continuing to go along your goal. I think the biggest, now remembering what I was going to say off of this, is utility, right? The biggest thing we see with a lot of projects where I think apprehensions come from communities, investors, those sorts of things, is how long is it going to take me to get that utility of the token, the actual use case that's there, that gives it a purpose, right? With something like sharing bikes and stuff like that, that roadmap, that timeline is very far away.
100%.
Earning the token, being able to do simple things within this ecosystem, once you earn it, that utility is, you're able to achieve that so much quicker and show people the value that's there, right? So I think that's a really smart approach to take with things. Because it expedites the utility of the token, so that's cool.
It really does. That the question would be how soon? It's well, as soon as we literally get the dApp going, where I already have all the APIs that I'm ready to connect, and so I have a very good new trajectory. That again, just I would definitely be open to consulting with some bigger names, some people that might really know what they're doing when it comes to something like this, to really make it happen in the best way possible.
Let's chat about that for 1 second. Sorry, man, I'm taking off script.
Yeah, no.
But the APIs, all that. So just so people who are, might not understand that kind of thing, basically what you're saying is it's similar to what we're seeing with some of these other projects launching on the EVM, right? Where there's a really great concept that's on another chain, right? But due to congestion issues, transaction fees, all the stuff that EVM's trying to solve, they haven't reached their full potential. However, a lot of those projects, their tooling, their code, the stuff that's actually used to build them is open source, right? So it's easy to take at least certain aspects and pieces of that and then fork it and release it onto the telos EVM, right? That's what I think a lot of what is really cool right now is to grow these sort of low-hanging fruits and these opportunities for these projects to start to utilize the tech that's there and make these projects so much better and really cement their initial vision. Is that kind of what you're getting at with things, layman's terms, I guess?
You literally just took the words out of my mouth. That's literally it.
Perfect. Yeah, and I think that's honestly really cool because I didn't even think about that, until we were chatting before this, of all of those ride to earn projects that are out there. But, the hard thing with ride to earn and anything like that, is that if there's not an immediate value there, people don't want to pay the transaction fee, right?
Right.
It's so low, it's pennies. People are ready to jump in. There's no barrier to entry there. It just makes it super powerful.
That's literally why, those projects, unfortunately, they never came to life, and why they could come to life on telos EVM, right? At one point, it would, let's say you biked 100 miles and you were owed $50 worth of ETH, right? Well, it's going to cost you like $90 to even, or $100 depending on gas, right? But that could all be done very, very easily and effortlessly.
We're biking to get away from gas anyways, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just wow, that would be like super ESG like friendly, right? Like incentivizing people to just be healthy on their bikes, taking their bike to work, like you said, and earning crypto in the form of either telos or bike or other, like they could potentially bike for other pools. They could bike for charity, right? They could bike for so that's a really great, I think it's a great angle to push. A lot simpler, a lot more doable, and again, a lot quicker to find utility for the end user.
Yeah. What do you think, Matt? You're newer to the space too. Actually, you've been involved in crypto, I think, a little bit longer than me, but you're more of a lay person, right? To the telos ecosystem, that kind of stuff. So what do you think, sort of hearing that side of things? Any thoughts? Or feel free to take me to the next question if not. But
much to what you said, I'm certainly new. So some of the intricacies I'm just starting to grasp the concepts of and just being able to understand some of it. But certainly the concept and the ability to perspire for profit, if you would say, is something that, coming into this and not being aware that these sort of things exist and such, it's almost like one of those, oh my God, what have I been missing moments? So, certainly, I can see the concept behind it being really, really appealing and really, really revolutionary. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that'd be a really good direction to start moving towards. It's a lot simpler. We did plan to incorporate that into everything, but it's like sometimes exactly you got to like take what really could work from the get-go and move with that instead.
The thing about crypto, right? People want immediate results. Sometimes to the detriment of the industry, I think, but it's always good to pick those focuses, start with those smaller areas so people can see those things, right? And have that gratification. I think that's a part of it. It's just the nature of the beast, right? And how quick things move. So, yeah. Awesome. Absolutely. What do we got next, Matt?
Yeah, so my next question, I think you kind of touched on it a bit already, but I'd love to explore your plan and your thoughts behind bringing more people on board to make BikeChain a success, and any initiatives that you're thinking of or you plan to utilize, reach out to, stuff like Telos, Spark, or Ignite, even reaching out to members, which I know you've already mentioned and stuff, but would love to hear a little bit more on your thought process and ideas behind that.
Yeah, I don't now, like with all that I've learned on my own, I've also, I think the most valuable thing I've learned is I could learn so much more working with some really amazing people. Why limit this idea to anybody? It's like one of like, even in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, it's called the mastermind principle. And it talks about just getting some of the best minds that you can find, and put them behind an awesome idea like yours. And nobody will work for free. That's also something I learned as well, right? I guess other than myself, right? Because I'll work till the last of my days to make this happen, right? But
Entrepreneur hustle.
It's that entrepreneurial hustle, but at the same time, why not? Again, it's all about creating and collaborating. I always try to preach that, so I might as well go ahead and follow through with that as well. Is reaching out to both those programs, to as many programs and to as many people I know. The people over at, I think it's Creative Block in India, are very, very supportive of this, and I know their founder was also, he wanted to start, or he did start a very similar application that promoted health and wealth in a gamification kind of way. So I'd love to like potentially speak with him and definitely stay connected with the Telos community always. I mean, you guys have been able to help me get this far. So I don't see why we shouldn't continue to move forward and collectively teaming up wise with all the collaborations. I just saw, Fortis and Destiny World came together, and I'm like, no brainer. Obviously, they're both, very early together in this, and why not bring those two? It only makes sense to form those strategic partnerships and alliances, and grow together, because that's really what Telos is all about, right? Like Telos is the furthest thing from being like inclusive and stuff, like, or whatever, or is it exclusive? Like, you guys are very open to everybody. You guys opened up to me like with the warmest and open arms, and were nothing but helpful along the whole way. So like, why would I want to go anywhere else? It really doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
Really well said. That's awesome. Yeah, I find that Telos is that way, right? And the best projects have that approach of collaboration versus competition. I'm one of the books I really got into this year is Peter Thiel's 0 to 1, right? He has this whole chapter on competition and how it just eats up resources in an initiative, right? When you're spending so much time competing with the project, as opposed to looking for ways you can find common ground and work together, right? And that's something that I really get excited about when we see that in this space of these really low-hanging fruit. Just, talk to each other. You guys are doing similar things. Let's start working together. See, another project I think, you should think about getting in touch with is the Seeds ecosystem.
Yes.
They're really huge on regenerative projects.
Refi.
Yeah, exactly. You know it. And one of the things, a really cool case study is like Seeds and Local Scale. So Local Scale was a marketplace for regenerative projects, and Seeds was the cryptocurrency. Seeds was trying to build out a marketplace, and Local Scale wanted a currency. And they said, well, how about, we just work together and use our two pieces of tools together, as opposed to trying to build out these things independently. And it made them much stronger. So that's awesome that you're already thinking in those terms, looking for those opportunities in the ecosystem to start, collaborating and growing the project. It's just going to be huge.
Right. I mean, it's tech. It should be. It's like the tech should be able to be integrated, just like people and partnerships should be. So
and really like you say, nobody leaves something for free. I don't know, right? Like part of starting up and being in that early stage is looking for those people who are committed to the vision, who want to work together with you, right? And maybe it's them working on their own project, having that same passion and collaborating with you.
That's true.
Maybe there are people out there who want to become really integrated parts of your team and help in these early foundational moments. That's why we have cryptocurrencies, right? To use that as a form of exchange for investment in projects and stuff like that as well, right? So
Very
I don't
true.
know. This is just the beginning of starting to find those other people who are going to be those foundational pieces of your team as well. Maybe, you know.
Yeah,
Be
I
open to
definitely
it.
know where to apply. Definitely got the link to apply, so I'll definitely do that when I again like take a little step back, re-strategize, regroup, really think things through. But I think I do have a very good new direction of where to start, and everything happens for a reason. We are where we are because of where we are. So the best
Definitely.
thing that we can do is just move forward and never give up. That's the biggest thing I've also learned from something like this is just don't give up, just keep going.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the best attitude to have, and it's really cool to see that. Matt, I know we're getting close to time. We did have some community questions or something near the end for us, right?
Yeah.
And we should
So I
probably
was just
jump to them because they might be getting an award
For
or
sure.
something. They might.
Yeah, I was just going to say we have a few, but if anyone else has any questions, please put it in the chat or send us a request to be unmuted to answer your question, or to get your question asked and then answered. So I'll start off, but the one thing I really wanted to say was going back to the entrepreneurial hustle. I think it was Thomas Edison who said that a project requires 1% innovation, 99% perspiration.
Yep. That's it.
So that was
Not a word of a lie
there. So we're going to get into it now. The first question I have here is, what motivated you to start this project?
Just changing the world, just leaving an impact in some positive way, where I was able to use my know-how around blockchain and smart contracts and trying to help the world in some way. Mm-hmm. That's it, pretty much. Yeah.
Awesome. Ambitious, but ambitious and not, right? I like to think that, as long as you have good intentions with what you're doing and you're trying to make a positive impact in your immediate circles, you don't have to do something really elaborate to change the world, right?
So, yeah, you can as long as it helps in some form, because like crypto's it's still very elementary. So like, even if I can change the world using that in some way, then yeah, definitely, I'll go for it.
Awesome. There was a philosopher who said something along the lines of, we change the world with every little action we take, from one footstep in the mud to moving one grain of sand from one place to another. But certainly doing it in such an impactful and meaningful way, that's nothing to laugh about.
It's true.
For sure.
Definitely.
The next question I have is, can you list 3 killer features of your project that make it ahead of competitors? What are the competitive advantages that you feel? And the follow-up part is, what are the competitive advantages that you feel most confident about?
Yeah, so I mean, just that, like, I could probably just answer all the, just based on using the blockchain alone. Things happen cheaper, they happen faster, and they happen in a transparent manner. So you'll know exactly how much crypto you're owed when you ride this amount of kilometers, and it's represented, that payment did go through on the blockchain, so everyone knows, hey, they actually did bike 5 miles to go ahead and earn that 5 bike token or something. And then again, it's really like, I'm sure there's like probably infinite ways that just decentralizing a network just out triumph like a centralized network. But I guess it would be like, it's cheaper, faster, and transparent, and like free from obvious like centralized entities like shutting it down and stuff.
That's the thing I think we talked about early on when we first got introduced to you, was what the ride-sharing industry kind of has become, like, outside of the blockchain space. So you have these, Ubers and Lyfts of the world that were there to cut out the middleman. But something we're seeing, right, and that's just the nature, I think, of where the centralized tech industry has shifted, is that they've become bigger middlemen than the middlemen that used to be there, right?
Right.
So I think that's, when you talk about the blockchain and the competitive advantage it offers to that sector, that's a big one, right? Is, being able to almost just pivot back to the initial mission of that industry and just peer-to-peer, right? But truly peer-to-peer,
Right. Yeah, I mean that like if you're looking at it from that, exactly, the ride sharing aspect of things, that's it. Like creating that peer-to-peer, bringing back that free enterprise, that free market, and getting rid of somebody who's really taking a bigger portion, that's inflated and or just constantly changed against your will, right? And then user. Somebody asked a really good question in here. They said, would you consider partnering with Strava or something to determine activities? If you would want to run it through your own app, would you include Strava style functionalities, mapping? That's actually exactly what we plan to do. I don't know if you saw our latest tweet, but Strava is actually trending, and we could actually easily integrate the API from Strava into the smart contract, which would allow for the ride to earn to just basically start. We already, like I said, I already have the Solidity code and I already have the API for Strava, so it's as simple as just merging those two things together, and then you have ride to earn. So yeah, I could have done that a long time ago, but I was thinking, oh, let's do all this first. I should have actually went and pivoted and done that the first time. Now I know.
There, right?
That's the next step.
That's beautiful.
Perfect.
Thanks, Evan. Great question.
Yeah. That was a great question, Evan.
The last question I have is, how many bikes can you register on the platform?
Well, I mean, knowing what, Telos can do, and Telos EVM, and 10,000 transactions per second, I mean, I'm thinking we can register as many as we want. For now, I've never seen any scaling issues with Telos to this date, so I don't see. And there's hundreds plus dApps that are already built that probably feature all different amounts of volume happening at the same time, right? And I know Telos just celebrated its 200 millionth block, because that 0.5 block per second, that 0.5 per second block is really, really cool. And it's just, I don't see a limit to being how many people we could help using Telos technology and Telos EVM. I don't see a limit, especially with the new roadmap that we plan to go down, that we're going to discover.
Amazing.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to say our Telos we should think of a slogan like Telos, like try to break it.
Yeah, I was about to say that would be so good. Yeah, it's like you can try.
Come at us.
Try to break it. You won't succeed. Yeah, no matter how big your customer base gets, we could take that work. Like, I don't know. That then just becomes a discussion of the technology, Telos, and how flexible it is, and how we really are. When you look at, I think, the technical side of the chain, there's such flexibility there, kind of in our consensus model and stuff like that, to keep growing, right?
Right.
I mean, yeah, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole of Telos technology. Go learn about the Telos tech,
yes,
because it's fantastic. And it's really made to scale, right? Even in its current capacity, it's all these projects can scale on the network as is. The network itself and the technology is built to be able to scale if projects are able to reach that capacity.
Big time, 100%. So yes, I mean, yeah, we could go down on like why it's the best for governance and everything else, but yeah, in good hands if you launch. And that's like a big goal of mine, right? Telos has done such a great job bringing BikeChain to the spotlight, right? Now I feel like it's my duty. I felt like it's always been my duty to create an amazing application in some, shape or way that will then, when people ask, what is this built on? Oh, it's built on Telos. I should really check that out. And it's just a beautiful, self-fulfilling prophecy where Telos does become like a top 10 coin easily, outdoing some way bigger names that definitely deserve to be outdone by now, That's pretty much it.
It's awesome. Well,
those are all the questions I have. And just checked the notes, see any other questions. So I think that's it for now.
That's super. Fantastic. Thanks, Matt, for going through all those and moderating. And thanks, Drew, for coming out. This is lots of fun. I'm trying to think if I have any more questions on my end. There's a lot of questions I had when I first got to know you. And since then, I've had sort of the privilege of being able to ask them of you on a regular basis. So I'm like, trying to think of what other things really changed my perspective on the project and were kind of eye-opening for me. One of the things I think that might be cool to touch on really quickly before we wrap, because I think this was one of the most interesting things, was the concept of like the collateral. You talked about this very briefly. It was like a small little snippet somewhere, I can't remember, but it was like, my biggest question when I first learned about the project was, if someone is to lend their bike, right, what is protecting their asset of that bike, right? And I know we're kind of getting away from that in terms of where it's headed, but maybe you can touch on that thought process there really quickly. Since we don't have any other questions.
That's a really great one, because that dives down to the solidity code and how smart contracts function. But I've still always, because I'm really finding myself interested in just that department of programming. But there is it does seem that there is a way to create some sort of deposit contract where there's collateral held kind of by that third party, but the third party is the smart contract. So it would be almost an escrow style based deposit, where you deposit and both the buyer and lender both deposit in escrow, so they're both incentivized to act out in their best interest, which would be fulfilling the enumerated phases of the smart contract. Like, did this person return this on time? Did they check that based off those parameters from the smart contract? A trustless, right? That's kind of like what Bitcoin's like. A trustless form of payment can happen in physical reality and stuff like that. So it's definitely, I've seen plenty of different types of ways to base it off of just those parameters, or even time-based parameters and stuff of that nature. It's just so cutting edge, though. It literally takes the best developers to really bring something like that into existence. So, I mean, I'm open to speaking with all of you awesome devs. Please reach out, because I've always wanted to just get to the building side of things, which unfortunately I wasn't able to just yet. But hopefully that will come sooner than later, because that's really all I want to do is get to the building side of things.
Totally. Well, on that note, how can people get in touch with you? What are next steps? And then we should remind them to follow all your channels, right? Follow you on Twitter, your website. Give us the whole spiel, and then also let us know how people can get in touch with you who want to get involved.
Sure. Yes. So that's where to find us at is Twitter. That's where we want to grow a nice following on. We are on our ride to 1,500 followers. I think we're at like 1,300 right now. So maybe we'll do like a cool like NFT giveaway or something like that of the same nature for our 1,500th follower or something like that. And yeah, you can also find us on Telegram and on Discord. We definitely want to start promoting like more of a community-based kind of style chat in our Telegram. So I'll make it a point to really encourage, conversation happening in there rather than me posting everything all the time. I would definitely want like more engagement in the Telegram too. So you can find us in our Telegram, which is at BikeChain.app. Same thing with our Twitter at BikeChain.app. And we also do have a Discord. You can find the link there in one of those other social media sources and stuff, outlets, if you will. And yeah, I just want to say thanks for having me. Thanks for hearing all about the future and what's to come for BikeChain.app.
We're super excited for it. Thank you for coming out. Thanks, Matt. Thanks everybody who's listening. And I think we're going to get this up online too, so people can watch it after the fact as well. So if you're watching afterwards, thank you for checking out BikeChain, and make sure to go check out all the channels and get involved.
Yes, and a huge thank you to every single person in here right now. You guys know who you are. Thank you to Liam. Thank you to Matt. Thank you to Thomas. Thank you to Jenna. Thank you to Evan. Thank you to everybody at Corduroy Earth. Thank you to the Telos Foundation. And thank you to anybody watching. Thank you to all the BikeChain app supporters.
Thanks.
Namaste.
Always
Appreciate it.
Have a great have a great have a great weekend. We're on a Friday.
Yes, it's Friday.
Friday.
I hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy your Friday and have a great time.
Get out and bike. All right.
Yes, go ride a bike.
Get on your bike and ride. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. See you guys.
Have a good one, guys. See ya.
Bye.